with the man Banky and Company alongside Yason Tafari. It's your weekly educational show. And tune in. It's inspirational, educational, and you won't want to miss it. It's everything agriculture. Hey, this man Easy inviting you to tune in. It's all about everything agriculture with the man Banky and Company alongside Yason Tafari. It's your weekly educational show. And tune in. It's inspirational, educational, and you won't want to miss it. It's everything agriculture. Hey, this man Easy inviting you to tune in. It's all about everything agriculture with the man Banky and Company alongside Yason Tafari. It's your weekly educational show. And tune in. It's
Yes, and we are live and lively on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch TV, via Real Entertainment Network with another edition of Everything Agriculture with your host, Yason Tafari and Ras Banky Shabazz. Yes, he will be in just a few. So we just want to say good evening to the good folks of Oli and Layamiga. Oli and Layamiga, Nevis and St. Kitts or St. Christopher. Some really try to stay away from that Christopher business and just prefer to say St. Kitts. We even stray away from the St. Kitts and we just say Layamiga, using the names of the indigenous, the names that the indigenous people called the islands, Oli and Layamiga. We also want to say good evening to all the folks locked in throughout the entire Eastern Caribbean, United States, Canada, England, Japan, China, Taiwan, Australia, Czechoslovakia. It doesn't matter where in the world you are at this time. It's a pleasure to have you locked in with us on another edition of Everything Agriculture here on Real Entertainment Network. This evening, we are going to delve into a number of topics, and we also want to open up the line and ensure that folks who are participating know that you can make your comments. I must advise you that even though all of the comments from all of the platforms, the possibility of them showing up on our screen is highly likely, most times we follow the Facebook wall while we're doing the show. So most times we're privy to the comments that are on the Facebook wall, in addition to those that may pop up on the screen. I realized last week, earlier on this week when we were doing another show, that sometimes people are making comments on the YouTube platform, but we're not seeing them whilst we're doing the show. So usually I would have my Facebook kind of open so I can see the comments on Facebook. And so we do try to, as much as possible, cannot try. We do as much as possible to respond to the comments that are on the Facebook wall and also those that that pop up on the screen, because if you, the participants and listeners, are not interacting and not being here with us, then we're just talking to ourselves. And so we do appreciate when you do interact and you do add your comment or questions or greetings or whatever it is. We do make sure that we take the time out to acknowledge it, because we do appreciate you actually participating and being a part of the show. We also encourage you to share wherever you're listening from, whether it is from YouTube, Twitch TV, or here on Facebook. We want to encourage you to share, this edition of Everything Agriculture. and also when we do the topics and any other programs that are aired here on Real Entertainment Network. I really want to take some time out as we also do the introduction here to give thanks to the Real Entertainment Network team. It's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of efforts are put into, creating and making what you're seeing here in front of you possible. And so, we cannot do it without the team effort. And so there are lots of, people behind the scenes that make what you see possible. And so we really want to take some time out and give thanks to all the team. I'm not going to name any because I don't miss any. So I'll just say kudos to the Real Entertainment Network team. All of you know who you all are behind the scenes, and all of you equally so are given the credence and the credits for creating the platform, maintaining the platform, and affording that opportunity for non-partisan political views and opinions, and expressions of national, local, international, national, regional, and international issues, are allowed to be aired on the platform. And so we really appreciate the service and opportunity created in the media journalistic page or scheme of things, right? All right, so with all that said, just want to say good night to everybody, and here's how we're gonna kick things off on the show. So what we're gonna do, as we await Banky coming in, we are going to feature. I was hopeful that we were able to do this via video, but it takes a bit of time, and it was a kind of late afterthought because I kind of just bumped into the video earlier on today, and I found it very interesting, and I think I am going to share this and then engage the listeners and also Banky when he gets in on a discussion based on some of the things that pops out at me as I listen to this presentation. It's a bit lengthy, and so please, I know a lot of people in these days, they're accustomed to these reels and shorts and so on, and anything that is more than 3-4 minutes and so on, they get turned off and so on. But I don't think the information in here will turn you off, but I am still, asking for you to bear with us as we do this. So I think I am seeing the camera freezing a little bit, and this is going to be audio. So I don't know if maybe if I stop the camera and play, it's going to help in any way. But I am going to get into this quite interesting piece. Africa, and there's a lot to say, and it's been in relation to the fact that this leader was as a result of what they call a coup and military overthrow and so on. So there's that issue that is preventing some leadership who are aligned with what is deemed democracy and so on to tend to want to subscribe to his government, so to speak. However, in terms of the actions, activities that are involved, he is definitely putting a different view. Like, like a change, like showing something different. It's like this is not what is normal in this kind of leadership. So he's still showing something different in terms of agriculture. He's demonstrating some things that whether the type of way that he in position or not cannot deny or should not deny the actions that are being taken, and help but hope we such type of leadership in the end, at a time like this, and especially where agriculture is concerned. This is why I am put this on the table so that we could have this discussion based on what is presented in this article. So I'm looking forward to engaging the listeners, Banky, as we get into this one. So if we are queued up and we could get into this.
Ladies and this is intervlog. I said this intervlog, where we don't just tell stories, we celebrate greatness. And today, we are going straight to the heart of Burkina Faso to do yet another revolutionary act by the man changing the future of Africa, President Ibrahim Traoré. Yes, you heard it right. He has done it again. And he is university students to the farm. But wait, this isn't punishment. This isn't desperation. In soul, in such is innovation, transformation, and food sovereignty, all wrapped into policy. The students feed studentship locally. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what true leadership looks like. This is how you secure a future for your people. Let's dive into the full story of how Captain Traoré is making university part of the cultural revolution, turning into farms and students into providers. Only a true visionary can see agriculture as a burden, as a path. Traoré isn't just leading Burkina Faso with speeches. He's leading with action. He understands what many leaders have failed to do, that a nation which cannot feed itself is a nation by turning Burkina Faso the pride of the nation, engines of food production. This is not your usual back to the language. No. Under Traoré, it's a return with knowledge, with innovation, with incubators, and with pride. The president launched the PITVE, the Agricultural Technology and Evaluation Incubator Project, in 2024. It was stunned many. While other leaders discussed, President Traoré was investing in the earth that birthed to our ancestors. Through PITVE, university students are being trained not just in classrooms, but on the fields, the real classrooms of life. They're learning how to grow, how to breathe, and how to lead. It is not about theory anymore. It's about action. And now those students who trained under PITVE are becoming the backbone of Students Feed Students. Let's clap for this president, because who else in Africa is thinking like this? Connecting education, agriculture, entrepreneurship, health and food security into a holistic initiative? Only Captain Traoré. Let's break this down. The Students Feed Students program, in French as it's Nourrissons Étudiants, ENA, is a sustainable solution to feed the university students with food grown by their fellows. This innovation made in Africa. The ENE program was presented to the Council of Ministers April 9th, 2025, by dynamic Minister of Higher Education, Research, and Innovation. But make no mistake, this initiative is fully in line with the President's national call to produce what we consume and consume what we produce. Students are trained under PITVA in agriculture, life, and fisheries. These students produce food, real food, nutritious food. The food is delivered directly to university restaurants. students eat that food at affordable prices. A startup fund is created to help graduating students become food entrepreneurs. This is not a school program. This is an entire economic model rooted in patriotism and pride. This is how you solve youth unemployment. This is how you stop food imports. This is how you heal a continent. And just imagine, while other students in different parts of the world are drowning in debt, students in Burkina Faso are learning how to create wealth with their hands, with their minds, with their own land. The E&E program is not only innovative, it's a masterclass in policy integration. Let's list the benefits one by one. Improved nutrition. Students eat food that is fresh, organic, and produced without harmful chemicals. This is real African food from African soil, nourishing the body and protecting student health. Affordable prices. University meals don't need to be overpriced. With local food produced by prices, are no middlemen, no inflation, just fairness. E&E is creating a new class of agri-entrepreneurs. Young people are being trained to start businesses in poultry, fish farming, vegetable production, and more. Food security. With student systems, university becomes self-sufficient. Need to wait for imported rice or frozen fish. Everything is local. Youth empowerment. Students now see agriculture not dirty or but as noble, intelligent, and powerful. Farming is becoming cool again. National sovereignty. This program is reducing dependence on foreign food, and every kilo of rice grown locally is a step toward true. This is why we say again, bravo, President Traoré. You are planting in every sense. Seeds of food, seeds of knowledge, seeds of dignity, seeds of hope. Now let's talk. Intervlog has always believed that when African country rises, the whole continent must follow. And this E&E program is not just FASO. It's a blueprint for African youth empowerment through Africa. Can you imagine if every African university, from Lagos to Nairobi, Dakar to Lusaka, adopted this model? Million students would become both consumers and producers. Would rise on every campus. Food prices would fall. Hunger would be defeated by the hands of students. Captain Traoré, not just building Burkina Faso, inspiring a continental revolution. We call African presidents to study this model. We call on universities to send to Ouagadougou. We call on development to stop pushing imports and start funding student incubators, because this is the future, not aid, not dependency, but feeding students from our soil with our hands, our dignity. Let us pause and reflect on a few powerful words from Captain Traoré. Produisons ce que nous consommons. Consommons ce que nous produisons. Let us produce what we consume. Let us consume what we produce. A simple sentence, a deep African philosophy. It's a Burkinabé parable that fits this moment. Quand le mil est semé par la justice, c'est la nation entière qui mange à sa faim. When millet is sown youth, the entire nation eats in abundance. That's the spirit of Ene. That's the energy of Pitva. That's the soul of Burkina Faso today. This. Universities are no longer places of only books and theory. Under President Traoré, they are becoming living ecosystems. You visit a campus in Burkina Faso, and what do you see? Rows of green crops planted students, poultry run by student groups, fish ponds being managed by final agribusiness students. And then you walk into the university canteen. Guess what? The rice, tomatoes, and eggs all came from right there, grown by fellow students. This is not science fiction. This is the Burkina Faso reality, thanks to President Traore's, to President Captain Ibrahim Traore, we say this: bravo, bravo, bravo. You are not just leading with courage. You are leading with clarity. You are not just protecting your country. You are preparing it for greatness. You are raising a generation that will not beg for food, but cultivate it. A generation that will not wait for jobs, but create them. A generation that will turn soil into gold and sweat into pride. It will remember your name. Africa will remember your name. And Intervlog is here to tell that story every way. Viewers, if you're inspired by what's happening in Burkina Faso under Captain Ibrahim Traore, check your pulse. Farms to classrooms, from students to restaurants, from Pitva to ENE, revolution is growing. Delicious, nutritious, and today. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Intervlog. Video with every African youth, every student, every farmer, every dreamer, because the time has come, not just about Africa's potential, but to harvest it. Vive le Burkina Faso. Vive Ibrahim Traoré. Vive l'Afrique libre et souveraine. Promotion of low consumption. Students feed students. ENE. A sustainable solution for supplying university restaurants. On Wednesday, April 9th, 2025, Minister of Higher Education, Research and Innovation presented to the Council a communication concerning the Students Feeds ENE initiative, a strategic response to the need for a sustainable food supply chain for university restaurants in Burkina Faso. The initiative stems from the Agricultural Technology and Valuation Incubator Project, PITVA, launched in March 2024. This project has enabled the recruitment and handling of students in agricultural, life, and fisheries. Thanks to the practical engagement of students in the field, PITVA has made impressive results with increasing yields in various agricultural products. Hence, the concept students, ENE, was introduced. According to the Council's report, this innovative initiative aims at following objectives: establish secure and efficient distribution channel in incubator farms and university restaurants, set fair and affordable prices for supply, ensure student health by providing nutritious, local food, create a startup fund to support incubator graduates transition into independent entrepreneurs. Initiative perfectly aligns with the vision of the head of state, encouraging the nation to produce, we consume what we produce. Students in the full cycle of agricultural production, it fosters learning, food self-sufficiency, and youth entrepreneurship. Ultimately, the goal is to integrate agricultural production into every university or higher education center across the country, making university restaurants science and sustainable through student-led initiatives. Champion of the soil. President Ibrahim's revolutionary impact on agriculture in Burkina Faso, and increasingly affected by food insecurity, economic instability, and environmental degradation. Few leaders have shown the vision, tenacity, and patriotism required to translate these challenges into opportunities. President Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso stands as a sterling example of such transformative leadership. With an unshakable commitment to national sovereignty, empowerment, and sustainable development, President Traore has ushered in of agri-revival in Burkina Faso. His administration's bold strategic investments in the agricultural, fisheries, and agro-processing sectors not only aim to feed the nation, but also to empower economically and socially. This article explores in depth the elements of President Traore promoting agriculture, mechanization, involvement in agro-industrial development, the visionary strategy and their implications for the pressure of Burkina Faso. In 2024, Burkina Faso witnessed an unprecedented surge in government support for agriculture. President Traore's administration allocated 78 billion CFA francs to revitalize the agro-pastoral and fishery sector. This historic investment was not just a financial gesture, but a political state affirming the centrality of agriculture in the nation's development. The resources channeled into this were not arbitrary. The government strategically increased the distribution of fertilizers, agricultural, aiming to double the provisions made in 2023, quintuple the average of the last 5 years. This was a clear demonstration of how intentional governance can directly influence national productivity. One cannot overstate the significance of this financial commitment. For decades, Burkina Faso, like many African nations, grappled with food import dependency and under-mechanized farming systems. The 78 billion CFA francs investment is, therefore, a radical departure from past neglect and signal to valuing the nation's land, farmers, and food sovereignty. President Traore understands that the youth are not just the future, they are the present. His agricultural policies are infused with a strong emphasis on youth engagement. By establishing regional focal points, the government has ensured that aspiring young farmers are not left out of the national development agenda. These regional hubs serve as incubators for agro-entrepreneurship, offering training, access to inputs, and mentorship. Through these centers, the government encourages the youth to see agriculture not as a profession of last resort, but as a dignified and profitable career path. This approach aligns with the global trend of modernizing agriculture by integrating technology, innovation, and enterprise. Moreover, this youth-centric policy addresses a dual challenge: curbing youth unemployment, rejuvenating the agricultural sector. A younger generation with access to resources and market linkages is key to ensuring that Burkina Faso's agricultural rival is sustainable and scalable. In March 2025, President Traore's vision for agro-modernization took a major leap forward. The acquisition of agricultural machinery worth 13 billion. This acquisition was not involved. The equipment included bulldozers, excavators, compactors, graders, fuel tankers, water tankers, dump trucks, and the very tools to transform from labor-intensive to mechanized and efficient. These machines are being managed by two key institutions: the National Office of Dams and Hydro-Agricultural Development, ONDA, and the National Society for Land Development and Rural Equipment, SODER. The collaboration between these bodies is crucial for improving water access, expanding arable land, and addressing irrigation challenges that have long hindered agricultural productivity. This investment marks a revolutionary shift in how agriculture is practiced in Burkina Faso. It facilitates large-scale farming, minimizes post-harvest losses, and drastically reduces the time and labor required for cultivation. By ensuring that farmers have access to modern tools, the government empowers them to produce more efficiently, ultimately advancing the national goal of food self-sufficiency. While producing more is essential, adding value to that food is equally important. President Traore's administration has strategically promoted agro-processing to reduce dependency on imports and enhance food security. In 2024, a major milestone was achieved with the inauguration of a tomato processing plant in Bobo Dioulasso. The facility, with a processing capacity of 6 tons per hour, is a game changer. It not only supports local tomato farmers by creating a guaranteed market for their produce, but also contributes to food self-sufficiency and job creation. This was followed in December 2024 by the launch of the Faso Tomatoes Company, OFATO processing unit in Pognongo Yako Department, with an investment of 5.6 million CFA francs, roughly $8 million. This plant processes 5 tons of tomatoes per hour. Projected to generate a turnover of 7 billion CFA francs, about $11.2 million in its first year, The facility exemplifies how agro-processing can stimulate local economies while slashing the need for imported tomato puree. Through these investments, the government is building a robust value chain from farm to table. Farmers now have the assurance that their produce will not go to waste, while consumers benefit from locally made, high-quality food products. This is economic patriotism in action. President Traore's agricultural strategy is holistic, integrating production, mechanization, irrigation, processing, and market access. It is a comprehensive model that addresses all aspects of the agricultural ecosystem. The emphasis on mechanization ensures increased productivity. The focus on irrigation, managed by ONBAH, guarantees security. Agro-processing value and employment. Youth empowerment is a sector for future generations. Multifaceted approach is what makes President Traore's agricultural revolution not only big, but also pragmatic. Moreover, these initiatives align with Burkina Faso's broader national development goals. By boosting agriculture, the government is also enhancing national security, reducing rural-urban migration, and promoting environmental stewardship. It is a strategy that touches every event. Food security. The agricultural renaissance under President Traore is stimulating the national economy. The influx of agricultural machine construction of crop plants, the revitalization of rural infrastructure, creating thousands of direct and indirect jobs. Local businesses that supply inputs, offer transportation services, and sell agricultural are witnessing increased demand. The financial sector is also benefiting as farmers and agro-entrepreneurs loans for their operations. In short, agriculture is becoming a dynamic engine for inclusive economic growth. The reduction in food import is another significant benefit. By producing and processing more food locally, Burkina Faso saves valuable foreign exchange and enhances its trade balance. These savings can be redirected to other critical sectors like health, education, and infrastructure. Food is not just a commodity, it is a matter of sovereignty. President Traore understands this deeply. His agricultural policy is rooted in the belief that a nation that cannot feed itself cannot be truly independent. By prioritizing agriculture, the government is building community resilience. Rural communities are becoming more self-reliant. Women, who form a large part of the agricultural workforce, are gaining new opportunities through access to mechanization and processing facilities. Children are better nourished, and schools can incorporate locally produced foods into their meal programs. This is not just about farming. It is about dignity, sovereignty, and the right of every Burkinabe to live in a food-secure nation. President Captain Ibrahim Traore has shown that leadership is not about empty promises, but about bold action. His agricultural policies are a testament to his love for the land and his people. By investing billions into mechanization, youth empowerment, processing, and irrigation, he is laying the foundation for a prosperous, food-secure, and sovereign Burkina Faso. The journey is far from over, but the seeds of transformation have been planted. As the tractors roll through the fields, as young farmers return to the land with pride, and as local tomato paste fills the shelves once lined with imports, a new chapter is being written in the history of Burkina Faso. It is a chapter of hope, of growth, and of sovereignty, written in the soil, nourished by vision, and harvested by a people united under the leadership of President Ibrahim Traore. Long live the land of integrity. Long live the farmers. Long live President Ibrahim Traore, the champion of Burkina Faso's agricultural revolution. On Wednesday, April 9th, 2025, the Minister of Higher Education, Research and Innovation presented to the Council a communication concerning the Students Feed Students, ENE initiative, a strategic response to the need for a sustainable food supply chain for university restaurants in Burkina Faso. This initiative perfectly aligns with the vision of the head of state, encouraging the nation to produce what we consume and consume what we produce. By engaging students in the full cycle of agricultural production and consumption, it fosters practical learning, food self-sufficiency, and youth entrepreneurship. Is the our program on internet?
Yes, and that's the SBA programming, our programming comes here, and this edition of Everything Agriculture. And yeah, I know this would have been a lengthy, but the information that is provided is quite noteworthy. And I think even with my introduction, where I spoke to the fact that some may add his leadership or his censorship was as a result of a military overthrow, coup as they would call it, and that type of governance is necessarily so widely accepted by those who are considered to be democratic and dignity and all that. We cannot not ignore the that being made in terms of agriculture and just agriculture, generally how he is managing his country, but um, more so because we are specifically agriculture on our program. I'm very interested in hearing your views, my people, in relation to what you've just and your opinions on what you think in so what our leadership is presently, and if we don't, based on what this model that we think that this is something that we definitely need to adapt with a sense of urgency. Before we get into that, or while you get into that, while you maybe start adding your comments and or framing your questions or putting your suggestions together on the platform, I think this is an opportune time to introduce Banky to the platform and let him also make his introductory statements. And then he could then also weigh in on his views and opinions based on what he would have heard in the video presentation thus far. So greetings, Banky. Enough respect, King.
Yes, greetings, Yasin, and greetings to the listening and viewing audience. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning in on another Friday evening of Everything Agriculture. It shows that you guys have some serious interest in what we're here speaking about, because you could be doing any other thing. You could be listening another radio station or just watching some TV or just chilling with your family. But you all make this time to spend it with us weekly, and we really appreciate it because we couldn't do this show without you. Let me say good evening to the folks in Oli and Liamiga. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. For those who, if you're a first time listener, which is the indigenous name to both islands, which is Nevis and St. Kitts. Also, good evening to the folks in the neighboring islands, Saba, Statia, St. Martin, St. Barts, the BVI, the US Virgin Island, the folks over in Montserrat, Antigua and Barbuda, also the folks over in Bermuda, the Bahamas, the folks in St. Vincent, the Grenadines, also up in Grenada and Barbados, and wherever you are throughout the Leeward and Windward Island. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning in to the Everything Agriculture Show, and always remember to share the link and let everybody know you're listening to Real Entertainment and the Everything Agriculture Show. Also the folks in the diaspora, wherever you're at, North America, Canada, from Maine, go straight into the Florida Keys, Texas, over in Chicago. Even though it's coming into the springtime, it's still cold, so people still bundling up. Some will still get some snow, some flurries. So stay warm and make sure you don't get sick and all that stuff. Also the folks over in Europe, Asia, Africa, and we have some students down in Costa Rica. whichever is appropriate. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. If you're first time listener, as I said, this show is an educational show where we come here for going on the last 5 years, speaking on the importance of agriculture, because this time coming now is what we see when we're happening. And yes, son, I have on a shirt here. It was the last year Child's Month shirt. Mark on, as you can see, embrace inclusion. You see what Abraham Traore is doing there and dealing with the youths and them in the university. You had here me spoke a couple of years back where CFBC, our tertiary institution, should be set on at least a minimum 100 or 200 acres of land, because the academics is one thing, you know, and what he's pushing there is the technical hands-on. That is the key. When you leave an institution, you're supposed to leave with experience, not leave and come out with you're coming out and upon your chest, but the same thing if I tell you to grow tomato, you don't know where to start. It's have to be hands-on. And agriculture is not just farming crops, it includes fish, the seawater, it includes small and large ruminants, it includes poultry in every aspect of it. You see, and also clothing, housing is every part of the earth resources, you know, the natural resource is fall under agriculture. It's just different areas it will fall under, subsectors, but everything around this is agriculture. You don't look at it like that. So what the president of Burkina Faso is doing is just simply common sense. He just made the choice to be self-sustainable and make it a national project where he have the model there and he will send it out throughout the US universities in Burkina Faso, and it's the right thing to do because the resources belongs to the people. If agriculture is not your number one and number two when it comes to developing your people and feeding yourself, and stop use these terminologies, independent and all this crap, it's just highfalutin words. It's not true. And this thing about democracy, them thing ain't true. They're not named democracy, pure lies to make you feel comfortable. We all been canned. And I won't keep using this word can all the time, because we in a system don't want you to think. And that's why you see none of our leaders, none of them showing any respect to Burkina Faso, because you'll make them look foolish. You hear me speak, we hear you speaking over and over, and that I know this time will come in a virgin. That's where you see I set up Indian Castle as a food bank. If we ain't setting up ourselves when it comes to sustaining our own life and make sure we have cheaper, healthier food at our right, we are importing all these coconuts. And as I realize what the gentleman here is doing, everything is, the water system is managed by a different entity that understands water use. You see what I mean? And then the agricultural student on the last year graduating control the business model. Then they're doing the fish farming, they're doing the poultry farming. So the university feeding themselves. You see, so every student will be able to eat a healthier lunch or whatever it is at a much cheaper price. And then some of these food will still end up in the communities. And that is the approach that these things are supposed to be at all time. Me and you, who they would consider the outcast, should be here telling these wise guys who is here, who is choose to be in real estate, you know. Our leaders try to, and their friends and wherever, choose to go into real estate to sell out our land, our passport. You see what I mean? Because of money. And when you look at the money, who paying up the dead people? So it's showing, if you have all these dead people paying up money and nobody alive, well, it seems like they're working some kind of witchcraft or some kind of Satanism or some kind of nonsense, some kind of evil. So because if you're, well, what else could it be, brethren? It's just money part of what the man is doing. But you see all this infrastructure he buying, backhoes, concrete truck, tractors, the virgin, all this. If our people are serious about agriculture, I know what it takes. Do you know what it takes? I know you're hearing all the PhDs, all the masters, all the world, all the world smartest now. All of a sudden, the bank here set the model, and whatever bank we do is crazy, waste of time, you know. Now, Mr. Trump out there setting on some 10% on us, and they have the trade war. Whatever, Alpha, what they need to do is bring down we import taxes. This 85% and this 100% and this 53%. And that's what they need to do and take off the VAT, tax pan tax, and start think we idiot people and we're foolish. And this paper that they have in their hand is better than common sense. Nothing with common sense, my brother. I'm not a complicated person. And even my mother when it comes to economics. You understand? None of them. Send them. I don't care who it is. Bring your CPA. Don't mean a thing to me. You're not smarter than my mother. From selling tray, nuts, do your thing and still do little hustle. None of you. And so she is out to children them. And we're independent and we have our own and we're in. Come. Yeah, interruption. This is what's up? You want to say hi to the people? Say good evening? You saying good evening? That's a good evening.
That's it, you
I
know?
see you. Yes, that's the future right there, right? That exists right now. You see, so inquisitive and shy for the camera, which is a beautiful thing. But we must give hail to the gentleman what he's doing. Free housing, free everything, medical, setting up a healthcare system, setting up industries when it comes to producing their own foods and stuff like that. That's what it's all about, my brethren. So if, as you keep
But
saying,
that's
if
what
you
it
put
should
import
be. That's
bill,
what it should have been, Banky.
so
That's
so
what it
it's
should have been, and that's
choices,
what
yeah,
it should
son.
be.
Yeah, but yes, fine, but it's choices because you want to speak about bringing, oh, we're bringing 1 million point cruise passengers, but what food them I eat? Same imported food. You see what I mean? How much farm visit them I go up on tour with farms and all them things there? Not included, 1 or 2, if maybe. But that is not the interest. You see? That is not the interest. We should have a botanical garden. We should have interest in protecting our flora and fauna. But you see, we have a set of people leading us who believe in evil and opposite than what we believe in. And then we praise these people and they have all these wherever. You understand? All people are blinded. Can me only see things one way, you know. I mean, I bought up nothing from the body, you know, because everything is choices. Ain't nothing but no struggling, you know. It's people is put obstacles in your ways to fight you down and all these things. And if we're gonna change this dynamics, can you see the little youth? She got 5. When she born the same day, the show start the same night evening, you know. So hospital me there, leaving the hospital come straight to start the show. When we started the show, you know, the 3rd, you know, of September, you know. When me leave my wife in the hospital, and me youth just born hold me youth, and then we leave everything nice. Then we leave the hospital from the what you call over there, the maternity ward, straight to the radio station. I went to know. Yeah,
Wow.
and straight to the radio station, and you see so you see the manifestation. So if you
Yeah,
think
man. And
these
she don't have
foolish,
picture, you know. She still don't have picture.
of course.
Yes, man.
So if you think I'm gonna let these so-called leaders and those who support them, who blood green and who blood yellow and red and the jazz, as they speak in local palang, blue and red and green and all, well, that's fine. Me not problem with that. Me not about them part there. You see, me about them who know better. Because those who speak like that have to benefit in some way. You see, some know about the part there. Because at the end of the day, me not gonna lie to me youth, you know. Because we don't try everything else, my brethren. Why on earth we want to continue with this foolish set of things, my brethren? When everybody come here empty-handed and we turn them to rich people because can the people benefiting and all this stuff, and we at the end of the stick. My brethren, we have too much money where the regular man can get up to 1,500,000 as free grant, up to 1 million as a grant, everything over 1 million and pay 0.5%, and no interest when it comes to agriculture. We gotta change this thing. We're too small. We're giving away everything to the non-indigenous people,
It could happen.
the natives.
Banky, it could happen. It could happen.
Well, we're gonna have.
It should happen.
Well, good. They don't have no interest in that. Them because they're still in passport. We have moved from the agricultural sector, and we move into selling passport and real estate. And you hear me say using the word real estate because that's what they do. Real estate they must sell. And when you need real estate, you need lawyers. They make about the model that they not benefit. The model is that waiting you have so much of lawyers. Waiting everybody want to be a lawyer because they're going into You understand? Corporate law, where they're setting up business models, they're setting up, they're part of the CBI, not because that is where they're making their money. They don't care and then laughing after me and you and enjoying stealing out their birthright. You see, where they too don't realize they too will be the minority and be looked down on because these people are going to respect for them, you know. Because it's what they only come to take, you know. They only come with the hand open and the hand run it over, not gonna end. When you run over all up and they're gonna run down in the jail and them want to, you know, not touch that, you know. They're gonna bring a vacuum and suck it back up. Because that's the reality. You see? That is the reality. They might like want to hear it, but me not keep they don't want to hear it. Because me walk up and down, watch it. Me and you grew up in the 80s, you know, Virgil. We born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s, and got to high school in the early 90s. You see me? So then when we grew up, we're not gonna no plastic bag. So somebody being canned to bring in plastic bag to some business. Cause when me in the 80s and I go up and go down by Ashley and Clarkson, then go look little brown paper bag for my uncle and put a little herb in her and wherever they do little juggling. Plastic bag also not now on there so. And then little envelope, bone envelope, they put them tablet in there, then same bag there to put the herb in her. Because the environment you grew up in. So this thing about highfalutin, again, except about t-shirt plastic bag, ban all plastic bag, Virgin. If you got ban plastic bag, ban all plastic bag. You know what I mean? Simple as that. Because when you go to the supermarket, Harris Lions and down there, they up a pig mouth, everything come in a bucket and whatever, they up in a weather mouth in a brown paper bag, and then you put them in the next paper bag and topo or whatever, and then you have a little carry bag where you carry and keep a couple of stuff. If you don't need it, then you walk with the brown paper bag in your hand. So these things, I was never fine, you know. So when they come around now, 30 years later, me not entertain the conversation, is they make the foolish mistake, and now they want to come they want to come tell you, oh, that you do it, they're doing your favor, doing something good. No, we were drinking Bryson and soda out of bottle. So you all come now, all and think exactly. That's the whole point. So they're not better. So me not entertain this foolishness, brother. These are poor choices that made from the feedback. That's what I mean. Exactly. When our leaders make poor choices and they're coming back around and talk about recycling and all these things. Me not sorry for them.
And they
say they're bright. Yes. They said they're bright and they went good school and they make the most dumbish and foolishest. If these are, I guess it is. Me not make up no words right now, but this is the way it is. So me not butt up nothing. So now we've been saying all the time, all the schools should have a garden. We lay out the format for them. You see? We lay it out. This is the second quarter starting. And up to now the minister can't talk about starting the next yes. Go ahead.
I was about to say you think that pushing and again as a the question you're pushing is 25 by 25 agenda, which does not.
You break up sometime. You chopping up sometime.
Okay, I'm good now. Yeah, I was saying as a part of the quest for the 25 by 25 agenda, now to the 2030 agenda. One thing I was suggesting that they demonstrate serious about this is to raise the curriculum to ensure that agriculture is mandatory at primary and even at the tertiary level. And I am loving the involvement of what Traore is saying, where the school be involved creating their own revenue. Imagine, and I love the fact that he is pushing, which is one of the things that I keep pushing as well, the agro-processing side and showing the benefits of the agro-processing side. When he looked at investing in the tomato factory, you know, there are other places here that do pizza and so on. I mean, imagine you're going fresh tomato sauce, making your own tomato paste, making your own tomato ketchup. Guarantees, you know, whoever planting tomatoes, that they don't have to worry about sale. You get a guaranteed price. All you got to do is grow tomatoes. We'll take it from you because the factory will be able to process as much as possible. listen, the amount of tons he said that this factory could do in a day or in an hour, right? We mightn't want that size, but these are things that could be captured to the scale that's necessary. So if you have a smaller industry and you need to create a smaller factory and whatever, and it don't necessarily have to be tomato. I was just using
Yeah,
that
of
as
course,
an example because it was
of course.
mentioned in the presentation. But other products that we could be zooming in on, um, which would create the same end result. You know,
Yeah,
more people, more
of course.
opportunities for entrepreneurship, depending on what state, and people will have to create them and maybe get their own brand, and because businesses are starting because they start, but then the local companies and brands are doing tomato sauce that great. You know, so you could have a brand coming out of Nevis, Austin Kits, depending on who's making it, it might end up being one of the top brands. It might be recognized internationally or globally. And so these are some of the things and it's of doing what this Virgin is doing and showing that it could reduce the import bill. And also, when you get to the point of exporting as well, it would also increase your foreign exchange because now you will be exporting. And so these are some of the things that Virgin is demonstrating in what he is into and demonstrating the what Marcus Garvey was pushing as well.
You see,
Sovereignty,
yes, son.
being able
He
to, if you
understands.
can't feed yourself, like yes, I
He understands true sovereignty.
right.
You understand? He understands sustainability. In order to say you're independent, you cannot depend on your neighbor to be feeding you. Because the one who is feeding you can make you starve. He can feed you poison. You can grow your food how you want to grow it. You choose to use what you want the food that you're growing. You have your own farming system. Why aren't you taking something from somebody you don't know who's grown? And that is the key. Very important.
As you're making that point, as you're making that point in the middle of what we as well, one of them is going to be critical
You
if we
you break
have
up your
not
son.
embarked on not
You,
doing
you,
it
you,
yet. Is that seed
you're chopping up your
bank? If we have not done it yet, still chopping up, I getting any better.
much better where you're there. If you stay in the position there, that seems to be much better there. When you come forward, it
Okay,
seems to
so I
change.
was saying one of the critical things is the seed bank. We have to be able to start to maintain and save a lot of our indigenous seeds, a lot of what we have now that are not genetically modified. We have to be able to what we call create some heirloom strains and so on, and have
When you say we,
ourselves
who
secure
is
where
we?
we could have
Who is we? Who is the we?
we the
The
people of
government?
St. Kitts and Nevis, whether it's the
The,
government or somebody or people and St. Kitts need to begin think along that line. The government will think along that line too because it's all a part of something we're really serious about food security because what you pointed out a while ago in terms of it depend on somebody to feed you. Well, if we continue to trend what's happening with the genetically modified things have to go back to you buying the seeds from the seeds because they're modified seeds to the point where when you plant it, you're not going to get anything. So these are things that we really have to consider if we are just about food sovereignty. So even if it's independent people doing it, I also think that leadership
of course.
should be thinking along that line to also have a food bank in order to sustain and maintain the sovereignty of their people. Because if you're saying, based on what we're saying here, we're already depending on them for import in terms of the processed foods, which we know a lot of these processed foods are direct poison. The cancer and all of these things from canned food, cancer, and all of these things in background. When you read them, you pronounce in them and son, you don't know what it be. Yeah, that have to do with a lot of the sicknesses and illnesses that we have that are being perpetuated. But if we position now here, seeds that you we plant, you happen and far in your evening more problems. So seed bank, I mean, I'm hoping that those who are in IT are listening and take heed. We ourselves bank it to us farmers have to do our own thing as well and maybe even grow seed and maintain our seeds and so on. These are things that we have to really focus on and zoom in on as we continue.
Yes, and if we're going to be moving towards 2030, which me not have no confidence, because if you're going to just destroy 35 acres of food, just like us so, just destroy it, just mash it up. You're going to mash up something, you're going to try to fix it back when none, second, since under your management, this is the second agriculture expo just gone. Nothing come out down there. Not even one obs. You know, scallion, right? Not even one peg come out, right? A scallion. And scallion, you cut it up and you just go back. You see? Not even one peg of scallion. And the minister is fine with that. And then he go up on his charade and go and smile and wink up and start talk all kind of crap. Well, this is the second quarter. April soon done, because it's showing never start again. Guarantee you, Yasan, guarantee you give me a team, give me the peers to work with, you give me less than 6 months to a year, I finish the second phase. Once they give me all the resources, just like us, so boom, 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 bam, 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 done. But how come they can't do it? How come they can't do it? You see, that as the gentleman said, is not about academics. They can't pay me for my experience. They can't pay me for my knowledge. So I'm not intimidated by none of them. Other tell the minister can keep a position and shove and the whole cabinet too. Yeah, because that's how mother and Mansa teach us. If I was like Mansa, you'd get some F. You see, because you don't think. Me not run down money in a Virginia position, you know. You understand? Me not run down things. And that's why I always tell my wife, when you see these foolish people, don't mention my name to them, you know. Because I represent myself. Even though you can represent me, do not mention nothing to these fools about no position, and no money, no nothing. Because I'm content. You understand? Because little they don't know. Along me gone. Because I love to walk up for people walking, you know. Because of my ways. Because what I do for him, I could do for myself. I'm in the business, I could have one model left to get all my money. And still, I don't want it. Because you see now, set of fools where they can't start it. You see? That's how you deal with people. And so me teach me them walk off their work and make them look like idiots. Because they can't start it. And I know they can't do it. Me don't go set up nearly a 5-acre farm, you know. And banana don't show out in less than 7 months. You see me to show you how much thing we don't harvest. The whole world don't see it. We done this much thing since then. They just love to talk. And people who talk and not show the work is just people who go back and give information back and just back talk people. And that's what's going on in the government system. Pure failures. So how the hell the government going to want to say this month, the Mark going to say, the premier, he going to start to give incentives. Incentives to who? When the cabinet are fail. Are the cabinet fail Indian Castle, you know? Is the cabinet fail Indian Castle? There, yeah, it's the cabinet. All of them. So you sure they're in serious. Are the cabinet fail Indian Castle? Fail the people of Nevis. And Mark know that, Eric know that, Zook know that, Trust know that, the legal advisor know that, Try know that, Spencer know that. All of them know that, you know? The whole department, the ministry knows that. And the people of Nevis themselves knows that. The churches them knows that, because you see this time you come, what's it? Holy time, all them are coming to Indian Castle get with the one from down there. So they're supposed to go and hold them leaders accountable for Indian Castle. Yes.
I know that this is very possible, you know, because you are very much mental together. You know how you feel, right?
No. Me not feel no way, you know. Me feel away because me try to save the people. Yes. I want to understand. I save the people from themselves. You understand? But I don't waste. I don't. What you say? Once you use. Go ahead.
no,
Go ahead, yes, son.
even though at the end of the day, even if you are not being paid to do it, just because you do something, right, and you bring it to fruition, it's like it's almost the same feeling when like let's say you had a vehicle and you sell it to somebody, even though you get your money for it, and then you see it couple of years after, you know how you used to take care of your vehicle, and then you see a couple of years after you say buy. So you say something you might say buy, I wish I didn't even sell the person there. You know what I mean? Like because of how they have it. So it's like it's in that sense. I am
Yeah, you kind of still have an
thinking, but
attachment. If you have an attachment, but there's no
so
attachment.
I'm saying that right. So that's what I'm saying. So even with all that, what I am saying
Yes.
is only you and I really hear talking about Indian caste, you know, because
Because
for
only me,
anybody
yes,
else,
son, because
hold
yes,
on. That's why I kind of put that disclaimer up front to say that,
yes,
well, I know it is personal to you to some extent,
yes,
right?
of course.
So what I'm saying, anybody else listening to from the government side, or as you mentioned, whether it's the Premier or the Minister of Agriculture or some of the other officials in agriculture,
Of course.
you
Yes.
would swear that everything is perfect and working.
Of course.
And then I mean, we would have
Yes.
heard just the other night the Minister of Agriculture mentioning how wonderful our fest was, the expo was, and how all these people get sell off and all these wonderful things and so on. It's like you're hearing that on that side, and then these things, hearing these things. No, I mean, nearly make it sound like, and that's why I said the personal side, like it's personal then, because these things are happening. I mean, they're there and demonstrate that, okay, you can really be serious and really say that, okay, agriculture is really thriving when you have examples like this. And even if it wasn't you personally, Banky, but this is
Yes.
what I'm saying, because this is the example. You had a
Of
30
course.
something acre plot, well cultivated, well talked about, highly recognized by people in the economic space
International.
and so
Yes.
on for the region and for all and so on. And then it's turned over and handed over to them. So and the midst of this agenda by each 25, but you have regress. I mean, you would have begun to get involved in the poultry, and M-Time 6 was to get involved with the tree sector. So Sinkis was to do the hatchery, Nevis was supposed to do the broiler sector. Sinkis moved on and have gotten the hatchery up and optional. I don't know how much is churning out and so on, and what is taking with it. So that it was made operational and they had a launch and opening and so on. The Navy side, that well, let me not say because I don't know, but I've been informed that boiler machine was actually bought and brought
Yes.
in, and the part that I'm not informed about is whether it is still paid for in some place. The building and the area that this thing was supposed to set up and be up, because we're talking food. So these things as you claim on one side that children are the most meats in St. Kitts and Nevis and imported as well. So this would have been a great opportunity to demonstrate the reduction of imports by investing in this facility, setting it up, making it operational, creating employment and so on. But right now, you are taking revenue for somebody, having it stored in a storeroom instead of really creating revenue people of Nevis. And so, but these things are not highlighted or talked about. And so you as I say, from one side, you would think that everything is just fine and dandy. And then, as you just mentioned, there's supposed to be the plan to start the phase 2 of the phase 1 that you say would have been built, and left to now have to resuscitate. So you would have to start phase 1 and get phase 1 back together again while seeking to set up phase 2. And we're still pushing for the 25 by 25 and or 25 by 30 agenda. So the reality sometimes on the ground, and some of these things that are highlighted are sometimes not highlighted, could give another picture, so to speak, as to the realities on the ground. Because, and this is what I guess sometimes do happen, because this is what happens with the politics, the parties and politics on St. Kitts and Nevis. Some set of people listen to one side or one set of media outlets. And so whatever is mentioned on that side, that would be the story that is run with. And so if I know that I'm targeting an audience of people, and this is the message I want to get across, I will message I want to get across, then you would have these other that you are telling that audience, man, ignore the noise of these people over here. So then it may seem as if like these other people, even though these people may not be or necessarily affiliated with political or any other or the opposition party, so to speak, everybody landed in another category space. And so you have people now who, even things are presented, are not in the mindset to say, I wasn't really looking at this from this perspective, I've never really thought about it that we are, some people are just laugh to, as you talk about the Kool-Aid or the red Kool-Aid or the yellow orange Kool-Aid or the green Kool-Aid or the
Well, you
whatever
never drink
it
Kool-Aid
is.
growing
So
up. You know Kool-Aid be. You know like
how
you never like
you
Kool-Aid.
mean?
Okay then.
How you know? I mean,
Your
and
tongue.
I
Whatever
used
color the
to
Kool-Aid
get
be, your tongue the color, you know. Whatever the color Kool-Aid you drink be, your tongue turn the color, you know, so that you can't hide it. You see. But your son,
But
the
on a
reality.
serious note, though, these things are serious. Um, it's nice to have fancy speech and on a demo, agree demo. Yeah, it is an opportunity for all of the different stakeholders in the agri sector to show and get an opportunity to get a sale and get their business advertised and promoted and get their product seen and all that. I always commend any such activities. As a matter of fact, I would suggest and recommend that they do more than one a year, especially to really give back to those people who are involved in that sector. Um, I think that since it is evidence, and this is the other thing, I don't know how much Ministry of Agriculture itself makes from organizing such a fund. I don't know in terms of the profitability for them. I don't know.
But
We know
these
that
things
based
shouldn't be
on what
about
is said.
profit. This shouldn't be about profit. That's what I'm saying. It should not be about profit. This is for the farming community to make the profit off of, not for the government to make profit off of, because the government is the people, taxpayers'
Yes,
money.
yes.
It's the
So what
vendors
I
that
was
will take
about to
part.
say,
Yes.
what I was to say is, right, I'm looking at it from that perspective to some extent, because what I was saying, as I heard the minister saying outside um, the mini Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
But that's different because that's like a one-day event. The
Yes.
2-day event in terms of the Thursday and the Friday, that activity as one of the top activities, or outside the cultural, so to speak, on the calendar of activities, for Nevis. So
Yes.
even if it is not profitable, that's where I was getting to when I was talking about the profitability. I was going to say,
Yes.
even if it's not as profitable, we have Culturama, which they claim is an activity that is to give the community and so on, which they claim is a
Yes.
loss. Anyway, so I am saying,
Mm-hmm.
just because it is something to stimulate agriculture and to give back to the people that we're talking about and give back to a group of people that really needs it, it is
Mm-hmm.
something that should be considered doing
Of
at least
course.
twice or maybe even 3 times a year. That is what I was suggesting, where I was going when I was
Yes.
talking about whether it's profitable or not. So I was going to say, if it is
Yes.
profitable, then better yet still. But if not,
Of
it is
course.
actually still, because it is touted as one of the biggest activities, give the farmers another opportunity, well, to say talent, to say that which you're promoting, and to import bill, because you're creating opportunities for them again to be able to do that. So that is the kind of thinking, hoping that those who are
If you see, if done right,
to
if
do
it is done right,
things like that.
if it is done right, yes, son, as I say, if you tweak it, because remember, only the department, the ministry alone have a bar in there selling beers and all and different stuff, them alone allowed to do that. You see what I mean? And all them hard drinks and stuff like that. So they have a bar right in the center and they got a domino table there, different thing going on, competition, whatever. And then more or less only them doing seedlings and stuff like that. So if all these things and selling vegetable, just for me talk, that's what I talk all the time, You understand? So me be the one in the department look like me see things different to everybody else. So how me speak, no, so me speak all the time. Because that's how me be. I always feel like the department, if I sell onion and sell yam for that them a go. But no sell, if farmers are plant carrot, don't sell nothing. Don't plant no watermelon and them things there. This is what me always see it. Now, you understand? But if that's what I want to do, then you just because work your work. You something to show you, right? But let the farmers them grow the watermelon, sell them seedlings, sell them those people who have nurseries, sell them the lime slips and fruit trees and stuff like that. Let them make the money, virgin. Your job is to set up the venue and sell whether it's a little onion or whatever, and you just sell onion and whatever. Let the other stuff them for the farmers them to really make the money for, and within the understand the farmers them would sell their stuff at a wholesale at a reasonable price, not as a retail price in a sense. You see what I mean? 2 times, 3 times you at these events. Because who want to come and buy in bulk the same way? That's how you can just negotiate things, but to get these things, if you're going to get agriculture serious, you must have land policies and you must have a water policy. And right now, it's just like Indian Castle. I don't have Floyd Robinson down there with the whole technical team. Check out all the wells, and we don't come to the conclusion the best well is the well to use is the well at Webb's Ground to facilitate both Archer, that was the second phase and the first phase. Because my biggest thing was to come off of the tap water, which was discussed many times with the PS, and that's what bring in water department and tap and get down the half and the main water where we can conserve water and use the water from the well, which might be a little saline, but is good for farming, blackish, but a little salinity, but still everything, all what was needed was, and don't talk to Taiwan and get a pump that is solo. If not, you bring in the 3-phase pan the pole and set back up the electrical wire and start back up, and that's it. Everything is there already. But what? And if you're going, what about other farmers around the island? I mean, you have to have water gels and trench pipes and all this stuff. Yes, son, we're not supposed about farming. We're ready for this type of infrastructure development and clear the roads and put proper things in place, we only attack Virgin. We're just into canning the people and them. Sinky trying a thing, but Navy's definitely still fast asleep. Navy's have not assist one farmer with 2025 agenda. You understand? Have not, and the minister can't say who he assists in the 2025 agenda. That is the reality. You see what I mean? I just started setting up a farm 7 months ago, and me didn't put in information within the department. They can't say me not harvest nothing. And harvest most of the Indian castle. You see what I'm trying to show you? If I want a bunch of banana cut, I harvest most stuff. That's just what it is. You
No,
see?
you're laughing, you're laughing because I understand Premier and the Minister of Agriculture had to clarify, make sure that the people don't go the impression that it was Banky who assisted the
Banky the what?
student there, Akisha. The other night, I was listening to the show the other night, right? And
yes,
he's on the mark. I think it was on him, Eric
yes,
Carlin, the Minister of Agriculture, Carlin. They were talking about the going on in the so people developing and so on. So I guess they talk about the trip where they visited Akisha, Miss Fogel,
yes,
and her business and so on. And then
yes.
on the visit, she mentioned that it was during COVID, around COVID.
Yes, COVID, yes.
Kind of involved in getting the business, and the one who kind of motivated them and helped them with the fence irrigation and so on. So
yes,
on the program now,
yes,
they clarified to mention that yes, even though she said it was Banky who gave, it wasn't necessarily Banky. Banky was working for the Ministry of Agriculture.
The Ministry and the Department, yes, definitely.
And so it was done through the program of the Ministry of Agriculture. So that's what I'm saying, though. They made sure clarify to make sure that you don't get the credit, right? So I'm just saying that because I've seen how you make sure you give them the punches when necessary. They're making sure too that they, making sure that you don't get the extra credit either.
No, yes, son. That program, let me send about the program there. That program, I was put in charge of, because that program again, I convinced, I told you got to help Boya. You understand? So they bring in over 500 rolls of Boyas, different size. The PS did it. 5 feet, 6 feet, and then 4 feet, 50 feet, and those could have used for backyard farmers and trying to initiate COVID people that long. You understand what to show you? But over the years, different programs that was put in place, but then you can't say, well, one tomato tree grow. You see? But when I was put in charge of that program, a lot of people don't talk about it, because I had things in place where if you have some, me and you get along and you have some call me and say, boy, everybody want farm now, everybody want wire, even who got animals. But if you want wire, which is fine, because it's not mine, but plant your poles them first. Come in now, give Yasan no wire to go lay down on the floor or whatever, and then Yasan got the wire 3 years later, me can amount time, so well, I'll give X amount of wire to here, and Yasan have contributed extra 500 pounds of watermelon. And now, you understand, soil or whatever it is. Now, me no function so. So, me not give you no wire. Me not care who you call. Unless the PS tell me to give that person whatever it is, me not question him, but what's like that? Nobody could tell me to buy no wire. I'm in charge. Because that's how we go, and the PS not get involved with it neither. I could give you some stories in a Virgin. I go some place where somebody called, I was told, well, within the department, let the chief tell me, well, this person calls, so they need some help with a wire. A wire, you know. A wire. You hear? One wire. I go, I assess the situation, boom, boom, boom. It's like you got some pallet around and you got a lime tree in there and in a pallet. But I could see what you need. I could give you the one way that you want into your son. But I know some be. Okay. We're gonna work with like this. Because I see things differently. Boom, boom, boom. I'll give you 3 wire, put it to the end of the house, You know the woman gonna do? Go fence the yard. The whole yard. And then they're gonna complain me to the minister and say, me not give them no wire. When the PS tell me, so boy, we did woman them. They say what? So boy, but they say, no, I give the wire. I said, what? I said, what's told to get where? So you see, you have to go play you too nice and I can say what the hell. Plenty of that. Get what from back other people. But what? Up to today, some people still vex with me from your village and all. Some people still vex with me from your own village because they want animal wire for the animals and stuff, but they don't want to plant no pole. You understand? And all these things. But me now give you no wire like a virgin. So are you in your feelings? Because if you're serious about something, you can plant your poles them, right? Buy one 2 roller wire is 100 feet and plant my poles on them and see the way them boom, that pull them on, it done. That's it. Simple as that. But we live in a society where if the government is just a 2025 agenda in St. Kitts, you'll hear people say they get water tanks, they just they're laid up, no mean nothing. They can't say, well, because of having the water tank, we don't set it up, so now we're using X amount of water coming from this tank, and we'll be able to improve our water irrigation system extra 20% or whatever it is. Nothing to show on paper. I don't function so. When I start to wait a month time, I say, well, X amount of the have been benefit because this is what been done, that is what been done. X amount of chicken farm have benefit from the wire, so it would have helped to help this. That is how you do things. That is how I do things. So it's just, but my point is, we are not serious about agriculture. That same program there, yes, the young lady called me, and when I went and checked for her, until I went to check for her and I visited her and realized, yes, I mean, she have an old smoothie shop set up and stuff like that. And then she wanted to get into farming. And she showed me this space and stuff like that. And I said, okay, then this way we're going to do. The lady plant buy she poles them, put in she poles on them. And then I assisted her. I have nobody in Nevis that I assist when I was working there as no favorite person, you know. I see all as one. And that is how I function. You see what I mean? And up to today, that young lady is still farming over nearly 2 acres of land. Who man you know farm over 2 acres of land? You see what to show you? That and you not look at her and say she's a farmer. Banana trees, beautiful melons, cantaloupe, pineapple. And she started with a little piece of land, that's also by God. And now she occupies most of the land by the university where Ellis had. You see what I'm talking about? So when encourage people and assist them, it's a success story. It's a success story, but the young lady was getting hells. But when she showed to me, I went out and checked for her. People wasn't taking her serious. You understand? But they now know those details. I don't want no prop out or nothing. Is them as put my name in the things, you know, them not giving them up on budget and this and that, and all the budget paper and this and that, and sing my name. Or I've been a multi-billionaire with that much time to call my name, all of them. You understand? So, we know about them things there. They know about hype. Because many more will speak like that and tell them just like that. Because I know the community they live in. Many more will tell them all them things, and they knows that. Because I treat everybody right that I interacted with. And they knows that. They knows they can't replace me. So they got to deal with the situation that they messed up. So they got to suck it up and deal with it. But they have to, when they going to tell it public, they can't tell public nothing.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess it's kind of tough because say you would not go back to work for the government. The contract you would do it. So this is right. Here is it that they have somebody that can do it. The other alternative is to contract somebody else to do it. Why then be the reason for you to seek to contract somebody else whilst you know for sure you have the skills within? And the thing that baffles me, and it sometimes happens too, I see it a lot from the outside because I see the political is sometimes people are being sidelined sometimes because feel like they support a political party or a side, so to speak. And as a result, even if these people have the skill sets that are necessary, they would look and bringing in somebody, and there's scenarios to where um, investments have a local person who have a wonderful idea and vision and plan, and you end up on, but you somebody um the same plan, and it come then given all kind of other incentives, sessions, and so on and so forth. And that is another thing as well too, in terms of looking at our people and empowering our people. A lot of the concessions are sometimes given to outside investors, which I'm not saying that they shouldn't get these concessions or get some concessions, but I want to think equally small businesses and local people to have business idea be given a lot more, and even sometimes just as much, even more than I mean overseas investors in some, as an effort to empower our people to do businesses, because they would argue as well too that these small businesses are the engine of the economy and the engine of the society. But then if you don't lubricate the engine, if you don't take care of the engine, if you don't service the engine, if you don't, give the engine that love and care and so on, then stop work.
Yes, and if you're not
So,
going to put resources in place,
things like
these are simple. These are simple things, Virgin. We hear going on 5 years, regurgitating over and over and over like we are some cows, just chewing record. You know what I mean? Repetitive. Can you just the same thing we keep saying over and over? We can't going to change, because if the people they mean well, they'll do the right thing. It's all about choices, and that's it. They don't care. All of them, they don't care. It's just reality. It's not to butt up and people get into no feelings and nothing. Because it's, if you can't feed yourself, and then food number one, we gotta get rid of all this Gramaxone and Roundup and all this glyphosate, this heavy use of chemical we use in agriculture. And a lot of these dangerous chemicals that are also coming for landscaping, through other that the pesticide board allowed to come in. You see what I mean? Highly toxic. 7 is very highly toxic. 7 alone, mostly common. Highly toxic. And then no care they got PhD, they could tell you. Very highly toxic, it's in the red. Very highly toxic. Lanate. Lanate. Agronate. You understand? Come in a different name sometime. They use is an insecticide, but people use the poison of animals. And these things are used on tomatoes and bell peppers and all these things to control pests, because they're pesticides. But they have like a 2-3 weeks interval. Highly toxic. If you drop a little bit of lanate in the water, you smell this fingernail in the water, and animal drink they're using that, you're dead in 10 minutes, You see how toxic that they be? Worse than Gramaxone. Okay? Ain't no coming back on the other side there, You're going to hold the pearly gate and you're going to drink honey and milk. You're going to hell, however, they have it in the head. But I may tell you, that is how toxic these things are. And these are things that come into our country and that we use in agriculture. Me ain't for them things in my virgin. We use too much. Every time you want to see glyphosate, Roundup, and the active ingredient. Weedless, Gramaxone, same active ingredient. If we're not going to be using plant-based stuff that's going to be safe to the environment, that's going to harm the bees and the pet and the animal and your cats in the dog and harm you yourself, they should not be used. We have to find a different way when it comes to, if we're going to push our next 40 acres. Because when they duck Indian cats, what they want me to do is to spread the whole areas around all they spread, they skip down all the grass with Gramaxone, that's it, so not have to cut the grass, They spread about 40 acres, Oh yeah. Yes, that's what it, yes. But you see, I got mine on my own. Just press on me. How much chemical do you know this spread? You spread this so. You're gonna need to be into the 50 gallon drum then. Madness. If you don't care about the environment, virgin. You understand? I do things my way that I see more sustainable and care about long sustainability. Right the same way When I'm at Kids Bay, I went by the water. I use a weed whacker. I never going to this and buy no Gramax Zone or weed. Never use those things ever to spray over there. For what? For what? And then they're gonna bring in a container full of glyphosate, full a Gramax Zone, and the farmers think they're doing something and making excuses. And the same excuse they're gonna make, mind them locked down for COVID, you know. And then they're going back, they accept an injection. Because I know they make over a single-use plastic, banal plastic virgin. That's all I got to say about that. All plastics. Not needed. You see what I mean? Really not needed. We're just being bamboozled for somebody making out the money off of plastic the same way. It's wholesaling plastics. Because 30 years ago, we never were using it. Back in the 80s, that's just reality. What we used to have a lot of paper bags, on a big roll, a big sheet, and those things still exist. Nothing changes. It's just was introduced to one way. The water bottles, they recycle them the same way. At the bottom, you'll see mark on the number 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the number of times those water bottles will be using, being recycled the same way, and keep drinking out of them. But yes, we got that. Our people are gonna have to start hold their leaders accountable. Accountable. That is, accountability is the way forward, and should always have been the way forward. Always. You see what I mean? And should put things in place, make them force them to put things in place when they fail and messed up anything of over $5 million. They need to step down. You can't be a waste taxpayers' money or $1 million. They should step down. If I go in and cast and I can't down there, I'm gonna make them invest in kind of money under me. And nothing could do, not even the water pipe, irrigation pipe going good, everything's a fall apart. They should have chopped off my neck. Because I don't know me do. And I may accept yes, and they trust to invest in me, and I go screw it up. That is how it is. I'm accountable. That's just how it is.
Our system is not set up in that way. Our system is set up for step down like that. The man ain't a step down
failures.
Like that. The man.
Someone else telling me, the system is set up for failures. They promote failures. That's what I like to see, failures.
Well,
yes.
There may be failures at
PS told me
something.
The system is designed for failures. They love failures. That PS told me that. They love failures. You see? That's what they love. Failures are promoted. You understand? And it's obvious. You can see it.
So, okay. Hold a second, Banky. We're going to say good night to Laurette Wharton, who is in Birmingham in the UK. She says good evening, Yason, and good evening, Banky. And then we have Ruthlin Hill also logged in, saying good night, gents. And I don't know who else logged in at this time, but I know we got a couple of people online and people are listening. But we just want to say good evening to all of you and let you know that you can add your view or topic or whatever it is you want to do. And if you want to call, and give us a call at 1-869-662-7196. I think that's it, right? 7196. Yeah, that's the number. And you can give us a and add your 2 cents or 5 cents or 25 cents.
We're gonna have a book to give away, and the question is next week on the radio shows to ask the Premier or the Minister of Agriculture. Well, I guess the Premier is the Minister of Agriculture or the Minister of Culture when they will start second phase 2 at Indian Castle, and they win a book. Cash is Queen. That is the homework. Anytime within this month before April done, they need an answer. They need to ask them, even and ask the question on the Tuesday night show, Mr. Weber show, and ask a cabinet member upon the show too. When will they start phase 2 at Indian Castle? And if you can answer, like come back the second, we can tell them when. But they need to hear answer because the first phase done, and all the minister is a part of the same cabinet because it's a cabinet decision coming by them. And them cause it to shut down, and fail it. So all them responsible. So ask anyone of them host the show and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, when will the phase 2 stated? Because their colleague had said it will start it. in the house in the first quarter, and the first quarter done. Second quarter soon done, because culture might come up. And they get a chance to win Cash is Queen, a book that should be in every household when it comes to finance. It's not just for young lady, but it's a beautiful book that is well written by a good friend of mine, Devisha Davilson. So definitely they get a chance to win a book. Yeah, son? And there's a simple question. They call in ask Ivory. If you do want to ask minister on the street and come back and say what it is, they get a chance to win a book. It doesn't matter when they just ask the question, but yes, or you rather it be done live.
And as long as
And also
the answer.
yes, and let me big up I saw a thing with Corey, the director Marine Resource, and also director for Marine Resource from St. Kitts, that Mr. Daniel in Fountain they get a new engine and stuff like that. So just wanna congratulate them for that. But that's Pum and Marshall them dada. Frankie.
Yeah, Frankie Daniel, yeah. My godfather.
Oh, I did. Okay, I didn't know his
My
name.
godfather.
I
He's
mean,
the cameraman.
okay. Yes, I didn't know his name, but after I see Sherman,
Yeah.
they say, "Oh, okay, my people, them." All right, beautiful thing, and those are good
Yes,
initiative. I mean, that should always be comfort and stuff like that. Because yes, son, they make it like these things are complicated. Look how much money they don't waste at Indian Castle. If you talk about $1 million and buy X amount of engine and give and donate them to and different fishing gears and give them to the fishing community, you now lose me, virgin. These things now, you see, these are things I'm talking about, you know. So when the minister come up and act like that, he should have even been in the picture. You see what I mean? Because these are nothing kind of wasting money upon the place. You go ahead. Yes, sir.
I thought you passed. Yeah, but I was saying, yeah, it's a good initiative. I give thanks to the government, you know, for assisting in a situation like that. It's really sad that you know we still have such people like that in our communities. You know that will steal a boat in the season is straight. You know, I mean, still going out. It's a family versus son or sons that actually work with him still, and other members. I'm not sure if brothers, and whatever. But
yes,
these are things that these guys would have been in life. And when you have people like these, they're not easy. They're not letting old age cause them to not to want productive. And these are people who you would want to empower as much as possible. And so I am grateful, that the government would have seen it necessary
of course,
amidst the situation to really assist in a time like that. And I think it is well recognized. And
yes.
I give kudos to all who were involved, and I'm really happy that able to now get back on the
Yeah,
waters
man, big up
and
there,
so
man.
forth.
You know what I mean? Corey
Whilst,
and this stuff.
I think that it's high time, and I have loose Frankie. I have access to solar cameras right now that are very much suitable for farms and areas. And so I think that some of those areas begin to put cameras and so in such where fishermen is kind of out of the way and so on. And there might not be electricity there, but solar cameras are operated. That would be helpful. The surveillance is high definition camera and long range as well, where you can see a long distance very clear. And so these are things that I think we need to do in these areas to help to do activities, whether it's stealing and so on. At least chances are good know that, hey, I and might get, even if they don't know, better yet, at least you would have the evidence to show that that is taken. And so those are little that we can help mitigate, the cause of activity. Again, I'm grateful to the government for such rent, and we want to continue to encourage our fisher folks, continue to be respectful of the marine environment. We want our people to continue to support them. It's not easy to be out in that vast ocean with that little craft that some of these guys have. It's some
Yes.
real skills these guys developed over these years, to master it and to know, when to go out and when the water is rough and how to navigate waves and all that. And sometimes when they come back in, people still want to give them a hassle and don't want to pay them, for what they do. But
Of
I
course.
always say, that's one of the reasons why I say education is selective, because as brilliant as you may be as a teacher or the doctor, or the lawyer, and so on, give you the fishing boat and some fish pot and tell you go out there and make life, and you would see how intelligent you are, in comparison to that same fisherman who don't have any compass and don't have nothing back in those days, but was still able to line up
Yes.
and were able to navigate and go St. Martin and Martinique and Statia and all of these different places. It is really mind-boggling sometimes, and so you really have to tip your hats to these people who over the years would have been playing these trades. So enough respect to the government again, and Frankie and all who have been supporting Frankie over there. Frankie, trust me, even though he's my cousin and my godfather, and even if he wasn't, so I'm not saying these things because he is, but Frankie is just that guy. He's very giving. So like when that happened, banking, it was really hard for me, because Frankie's a man. We go out and he give everybody fish,
Yes.
lobster, he give you whatever. You know what I mean? He takes care of his people in
Yes.
his community. That is how he lives. So it was hard to see that, somebody would really want to do that. Even today, Frankie's a man who helps my mother right now with, look, go and help her, feed the pigs, look after the goat, them, or whatever little thing, And
I got
these are
you.
not things that he
Yes.
have to, but these are things that, that's just the man,
Choose.
So that's what I'm
Yes.
saying.
Choose. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm
You see
just
the
showing
need
you.
when
So
you fit
like,
in.
when you have, but even when my father was around, he would be, I'm just showing you that
Yes.
that's the kind of man he is, helpful.
Yes.
He would do whatever. You could call him and say, bye, he gonna do it. As long as he could do it, he's gonna do it.
Of course.
And so when people like those are, mistreated or, treated in a kind of way, it really hurts. And that was really hurting, to me. But I give thanks, and I'm happy to see that he's, getting back on his feet. As a matter of fact, I think I spoke to him earlier on today because I was talking to my mother and he was around, and so I got a chance to talk to him and so on. Really, really happy for him, and that man is a real godfather to me. Look out for me like
Yes.
my father.
Nice.
Never give up on me. I had two godfathers, him and the two of them were fishermen, he and Cooleyman. And
Same.
that's Ashley and Kian them who have the boats.
Yeah, man. Of course. Well, Marisa was my
Diamond
classmate.
Carter and stuff.
No,
Okay,
Marisa was my
right. So
classmate. We still go up to this day. Of
Marisa,
course. Beautiful young lady.
we
Yes.
yeah, man, we used to
We met in
meet
first farm.
up,
We met in first
yeah,
farm,
because
and
when they had
still
the
the
rental
same
and
as
stuff.
today. Yes.
She used to take a little chance and come up the road to drive in the car and so on. We're cousins, godfather, and so on.
Yes.
We would
Okay.
go up and I would get a little drive for some practice down Guyana road and back home and so
True.
like, it's just like, so we grew up like that, but I guess the parents wouldn't know that back then, but that's just how it was,
Of
because she would
course.
think that they had a little rental,
I
and
remember the
so,
rental they
she
had
would
back
get
in
a
the
chance to,
90s.
yeah, there are a couple of cars and so on, and so
Yes.
now and
Yes.
again she would, drive up the road and you know, I had animals just so we would meet and you know take a little chance and take a little drive
Of
and
course.
so on and to drive and yeah man, it was you know those were the good people man, real good people, real good people.
Definitely.
Um,
Yes.
you know, so
But last week, Tuesday, you
yeah, my memories of
Chu- but Tuesday, you had finished up your topics. Then we had Tuesday.
I may remember enough for them. You know, I know you say no.
Okay,
Remember,
no
we did
problem.
say that whatever it is
Yes.
that we would convert it over for today. But in so far we would have had
If not, I
enough
mean,
to discuss in the
but if
Tuesday
not,
come now again. You know what I mean? So we can always
yeah, we have we're coming up next week Friday is Easter, and then you have shortly after you have the 20th of April, which is 420. Over in Alexander Farm, they'll have an activity over the 26th, and that's the 26th. Exquisite over in Tabernacle by the Alexander Farm. We have a big action day. Tickets $20, back the gate up at $30.
who Alexander? Who Alexander?
Oh, Garfield Family Farm, the farmer CEO of the Cannabis Authority, they have have a farm over at Tabernacle, a 20-acre farm over there where they keep exquisite
Oh, I didn't
420
know
and so
that.
in different event. Huh? What
I
you
didn't
said?
know that.
Yes, they have different around this time they
I
keep
said no
different.
to that.
Yes, so you have different EK, you know what I mean, and different a full action pack of DJs and bands and stuff like that. Like you know what I mean, yeah. So definitely that is something to check out and keep on the calendar on the 26th. But yes, and we have a lot of work to do and the way forward. If we're gonna say we are intelligent people and over 98% literacy rate, we should be in a much better place in order to be self-sustainable and stop using this word when it comes to a sustainable island state and all these things. I don't buy it. You understand? It's just all talk and fancy word to what they use when they go to the UN and come up with all this junk of crap and everything they talk about climate change. Put the money where it's supposed to be. You talk about small business, put 300 million for small business to access a 400 or 500 million minimum. Same thing with agriculture. Put the investment because you must develop water infrastructure. You must clear other land for people to access and get land. You see what we're talking about? So where they're going to find all this land for all this hot pepper and all this cannabis they're going about to move to? Where? Where they finding all this land? They're talking about housing development. Which land are earmarked for housing to build 2,000 more homes? Where are they? Where's the policy? Come to the public, tell the public these things. In these areas, in that areas, these areas is located for speak to the general public, because when the regular person asking for land to farm a quarter acre, they can't get it. They get it later on their own. Is there the farmer tell me, somebody tell me 6 land and the area, I tell them about the land is somebody, some got full up of stone and all kind of stuff, and they can't even access it. You see what I mean? And then if you have to go and access and look and see who are within the department, as the workers them who have their land, you should end up with more than 40 acres of land in both St. Kitts and Nevis. So nearly 100 acres of land is taken up by agricultural employees. You see what I'm talking about? So how is this? So how the public gonna feel about these things when them who in there got a whole are the biggest land owner whole? If I ask tell the person, if them who in there want to farm, let them go seek land and go buy land. You understand? When I turned extension officer, I went and buy land. I gave up the whatever land I had, and buy land, So you see me up in the mountain, we come up in the mountain, go farm away from people. You see what I mean? Where there's a foot, a 1 square foot, go seek land to farm. If you want to be in the civil service and serve the extension and serve the farmers, we can't hold up on government land. What we want to serve? You don't go for your own interest because you same stuff going in the same marketing division, isn't it? So who you gonna be serious with? Did I vex with me talk about me, okay? But I still the PS at the time who was there in front of them. Because we don't butt up things because if you're gonna be fair, because when the farmer who you're trying to help, you're competing with him for one. And then whose stuff you're gonna sell first.
Right.
So these are the realities. So once you're in the department, you should not have no government land if you're working for the government. In agriculture department, I have a policy where you should not have no land in their farm, and then you tell the general public no land there. I believe in that. And that goes along with the same with the egg farmers the same way. Because the egg farmers in navies have the same complaint where those in department got the same eggs going on. And you see what I mean? So when he in a meeting, he in the meeting with the same egg, them working in the department, in the same meeting with he. You understand? So there's a lot of conflict of interest going on, and that's why you see we're not getting to a better place. So when they're talking, is this same people to the same department accompanied with the same private person who are trying to do a thing inside there, you know? If you're going to an egg farming meeting, is more people in the department in the egg meeting than them who practice? So how does that look? Eh? How does that look if you go to an egg meeting we have the most inside their government workers in the department?
It looks
You
conflicting.
understand? And then at them I share the resource. When resources is share, and them I share the resources that get the most resources. So how the hell does that look? So the private man don't go shop to these meetings sometimes. Because these are the kind of complaints I will get. You see what I mean? That is the reality. And them I give the resources and them I give the most. Because at them is the dominant. So when the minister talk, he could just all them things there. But he not talk about them things there. You see? Because these are the reality within the department and the issue the general public have. You understand? Sink is and basically the same. Them working in the department got the most are the biggest landholders. And it's a problem throughout the ministries and the department all the time. The general public always complaining. So tough decisions are gonna have to be made. Where if you're working in the ministry and department, you cannot have land. That's just where it is. Go get private land. I can't tell you can't farm your own land, private land, but you should not have the land have the land within the department, and is the right thing to do. Because when the general public wants land, you tell them none there. And if you have to start count how much land, may tell you can count. If you just count just two of them, you don't gone over 15 acres. Just for two of them alone. So you see the amount of land I'm talking about? So that's 15 people an acre apiece, or 30 people, if you understand, if it's a half acre apiece. And you see the massive go down to a quarter acre. You see what I mean? You almost gone to 90. So you see the difference. 90 people almost 100 people benefited. Just after 15 acres. If you broke it down into fours. You see? So if you have over, suppose, close to 100 acres of land, I mean, you will help 400 people. You see? Simple thing. So who fooling who?
Yeah.
So who fooling who? And then we move into cannabis. And then we move into more food security and 2030 agenda. But I'm not impressed because I know what it takes. And I don't need no highfalutin and no World Bank and the IMF can tell me no schematics, how to work out, how to share this and how to share nothing. Waste of time. Kindergarten person work out that. Common sense, we work with your son. We don't need no long talking and nothing. If the heart mean well, you will do well to reach your people. We're not complaining over 10% that what Trump then put in place. Drop down your import duties. Drop off your VAT 17% because we don't own nobody nothing. Never did. So why the hell are we paying 17% VAT for? For what? Why are we paying all these high duties, 53%, 85% on a vehicle and all these things? Come on, man. Why? Why when all this wastage going on? Explain these things. Wastage upon the stuff at Indian Castle is just paying them for doing nothing.
You just answered the question.
What?
You just answered your question. You said that with all of the wastage.
Yes.
With all of the wastage. So you ask where are the money, you know what I mean, going? Well, okay, so we know when, and that's why, I mean, a lot of what you're saying can be done, and they can't have the VAT, and they can reduce these taxes because of wastage. So they have to find a way now to get back that waste, and the way of doing that is taxing the people. So until the people understand truly the equations and what is really taking place, and then defend their wallets and their taxes, then this thing is continue, because you and I are addressing these things, but we are not necessarily hearing much in relation to some of these things that we're talking about where agriculture is concerned, in relation to the boiler industry, in relation to what is happening at Indian Castle, what has happened with it in relation to it
What will
being
they say,
the
yes,
top.
What will they say?
Well,
Actually,
well,
the
we
minister
want to hear,
said,
and your
from my understanding, with the machinery, how,
the question.
yes, son, you plan to build a house, and you order your fridge, your bed, your stove, all your furniture, and the foundation not dig out yet. You not the plan yet, nothing. And then when you add all the furniture and everything now, and you start to draw the plan, you can't even pay the architect, because you say, buy the plan, they cost so much money. You understand? Because you not even know the size of house it take to fill the furniture, and then you buy the plan cost so much money. The minister said, in the building that cost so much money to build. That's a funny one. When they hear so.
Well,
That's a funny one. There's no plan in
interesting.
it.
But sometimes there's planning, and then the plan don't necessarily suit what was planned in relation to, let's say, the hospital wing, because but the building is painted outside looking nice, but I have some. So I
Those
mean,
are
so
cunning
you
ways,
have that
yes, and those are
extreme where there's no
cons.
plan, and then you have.
The paint, I mean, the building, you know, painting the building, I mean, nothing, you know,
But
because it's
but
still an
but
empty shell.
but then
So them is just illusion. You're fooling
but then
people.
but then at the same time we are saying that you're talking about the fact that we could reduce these taxes and we could reduce the VAT, but it is as a
Yes.
result of some of these reasons why we can't do that, because these are monies that just sitting down, and in addition to the boiler facility is not just that it is not being done, it is right now costing not
Of course.
done, because it's being
Yes.
said that it is being paid, somebody is being paid to store it. It's at a
That not
cost,
gonna work.
and
That not gonna work. Let me say that now, point
it is
blank.
paying somebody.
The boiler
But
thing not gonna work.
but in the meantime, taxes, meantime, government has to pay X amount of money to have this machine sitting down. We same thing with the second you talk about. You ask a question with the book, that if they tell you when they're going to start it, they could win the book. But
Yes.
even with that project in itself, starting that project again, there was some money spent in cleaning up that 30 acres
Of
or acres
course.
or how much ever it is. And to
Yes.
start again, it is going to require cleaning again. So you would have spent to clean it the first time. You could just imagine, and with the tariffs and all of these things on, which means that more than likely it's going to cost even more to clean it than it would have cost originally. You still have to invest in paying somebody to, even though you wire and all of that, you have to pay somebody to put them up and put them in the
Of course.
irrigation and what you need to put in, and then. So that's, so when you talk about why into taxes and so, is because of these things, and people don't see these things as it is hurting them, costing them anything. And when you do talk, they feel like, okay, it's just, you just be in a position and you just making noises then we would continue to have the results that we have, because it would appear then people don't have a problem with it. And that's why I guess the politicians could do what they do. And then when, even if it's a wastage or whatever, they find a reason to give it the taxes some more and in a way and shape. And you just, I mean, for example, we have an environmental levy. You pay an environmental levy, right? If you bring in a vehicle or whatever. Who really money that really went at is really with anything to the environment. And the more solid waste again, we into the consolidations, but is it really assisting? Is it set up to really deal with that? I just use whatever it is. Same thing with your quote unquote, but you still have to pay land and house tax. You got land, you buy you quote unquote supposed to own your land, but you have to pay tax for it. No, these taxes that you're paying should have been the upkeep of the infrastructure, the electric pole, or the water, the roads, and so on that should be there. The case is these things are not done. They're not done, and then they will still, you still have to pay your tax. If you don't pay your tax, whatever, then they're not living up to the end of the bargain and doing their part.
Of course.
We insist on hold them accountable. So these are some of the things that we have to deal with, King. It is closer to the time where we make an exodus.
Yes.
It's already 2 hours and 6 minutes. So we have just reached Leicester House. That's about it for Sansan this evening. But Banky, as always an interesting show and discussion. People of this, I am really hopeful that a lot of people would to what win with Article E. We have nothing to gain than to see our people live better lives. We have nothing to gain than to see our country get to the point where they are spending less money and importing food. That we could be in a position where we could sustain our people and even get to the point of developing brands that are recognized internationally, that we to the point we maybe don't even have enough farmers now to supply us with the raw materials that we need to develop these products. That's the kind of mindset and frame of mind that I'm looking forward to as we move forward. But a lot of this is going to be dependent on the farmers and some of the other stakeholders in the industry, whether it's the agro-processors, whether it's the supermarkets and the store owners and vendors and all of these other people. However, as Abraham Traore would have demonstrated, a lot of it also depends on leadership, because the leadership can help to determine and steer where the people go. And just so they could get up and make decisions without consulting with us, whether it is in tourism or whatever other area sometimes they choose to go, without telling us just letting us know that they're gonna do this. Why can't they lead the way in agriculture like this as well too, and empower our people and take some of the pages out of Abraham Traore book? I keep saying this. We had all of this money in the CBI. We know that the import bill is over $200 million. So why can't you just invest over $200 million in agriculture if you're really serious about reducing
Sorry,
the
Minister,
the food import bill?
750 million. 750 million over. That's 750 million. He repeated in his own table talk. You see?
That
So
that the
you see how
CBA,
it
CBA
is?
making
No, the import bill.
700 and something.
Yeah.
You're talking overall import or food, because the food is supposed to be like a separate cost. Or you look at the overall importation of foods
Well,
and
importation,
all that.
well, food and everything, because import, cause you know what I mean? You gotta cut down a lot of things, you understand?
Right, but
Clothes and everything.
food
Instead
import,
of, yes.
the food import can be a separate thing. But I'm just looking at the
Yes.
food for, let's say, 200 meters, let's say, right?
Yes.
That even just putting that into agriculture, then you should demonstrating that you're serious about making industry. And to see that, then yeah, yeah, either that continue to empower the locals, finding ways of empowering the locals to get into business and deal with agricultural business. And we have, because of our size, especially Nevis, zoom in on the agro processing, zoom in on the value added, let's create value added products. Even in this quest, as we are seeking to develop this thing with Africa, this trade thing we said we are setting up, let us, as we bring materials from Africa, to also set it up that we also ask them to invest in the machinery so that we can develop the value added for here, so that they can also with value products, brand that we can take into their markets as well. In some of it might not have electricity and power like we do. We do have it over, and we are making way for it. If you know, because Africa can also help with geothermal. Kenya is known to be one of the top in terms of geothermal. So if they are serious, and there are other alternatives, one of which I am to the government, you know, waste the plastics and tires, to create energy, um, you know, and to create alternative fuel that is cheaper, because plastics from oil, so they can return back to oil as well. So there are
Of
lots
course.
of
The tires.
areas that we really can lean into, right? I recently would have presented that to the government. I'm looking forward to the follow-up engagement and so on with that. No, but there are a lot of things that are over here, Banky. I am as I see the opportunities and are getting the opportunities to do certain things for the Caribbean, I am seeking to put St. Kitts and Nevis first. And that's where my thinking is. In the Caribbean, I'm going to give St. Kitts and Nevis first opportunity. Yeah, it's second, some other Caribbean, and then St. Kitts and Nevis, want to jump on and board live on. I'm still work with them, but I let them know that you missed the first option, because in this is the opportunity for training. It would be like training, because if in something that is replicable to the first one, those who are trained there, then you'll be use them to choose when you applicate it. And that's the intent, and another reason why I'll give St. Kitts and Nevis the opportunity first to be a part of it, so that training could then be utilized, use it in other territories and such. So people, General Wednesday, mad, some woman was praising you. So I guess he started talking about the same issue that I earlier on. But yeah, people, it was a pleasure being with you. We're gonna be with you again on Tuesday with another edition of the topic. Until then, Banky, respect people, everybody, all who would have tuned in. It's a pleasure having you. I'll say good night to my mom and my and everybody over in Fountain and wherever else they may be. Enough respect to all of the people over there, especially those down Ghana Road. If all those who continue to support Tafari's Plant Nursery, Silma's Soup down there at Ghana Road. You know, a lot of the map shops, you know, die out. I give thanks to my mom and dad who continue to, you know, keep that, you know, alive and pumping. And it is only kept alive by the Christian people community and those from us who would visit. So I give to all of you, and I wish for you to continue to support Tafari's Nursery. And we have teamed up and collaborated with Organics, so you can get some of your plants here at Shabazz Organics. You don't have to journey all the way to Fountain. You can just stop right there at Mansa's last stop in Kids Bay. And I think right now, one of the hottest things going right is strawberries. I actually Banky still have any, but
Yes.
like hot bread and we have some well, a lot of other plants. I think the jackfruit and all of these different things you might be able to get this. So just check out Shabazz Organics. Banky, I'll have to work on a little banner for Tafari's Plant Nursery, you know, but in time to come.
Sure.
In the meantime, people,
Yes.
enough love, everybody. Ghana Sanitation is all about the collaboration. This is what we're demonstrating as well. I must say, again, Banky, I didn't even realize your Earth Strong was the other day, or it was just the Earth Strong or
Monday,
Shabazz
the
Organics.
7th. Monday, the
Man,
7th.
you keep us in the dark. We had this show Tuesday, and you know what I mean, it's a couple of days ago, I look into and I realized Mr. By
Yeah, that's
Banky
serious.
Earth
I
Strong
stopped
and
out long time, man.
another virgin of mine in Anguilla, you know, I Black Tafari, you know, I mean, Farai, his Earth Strong also was on the 7th. So,
My
you know,
sister
give
Aisha
thanks
was the 8th, and
the
Mansa
king.
from BG was it. A lot of people, a lot of beautiful people. Every month is a
Okay,
beautiful month. Everybody comes
yeah,
to
man.
which month. Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
It's a lot of us.
Sean would have been on the 10th, I think. And then
Yes.
my uncle,
Yes.
My sister is on the 16th. And I think Uncle Fred
Okay.
is on the 16th as well too. I stand to be corrected that he's on the 10th and she's on the 16th, something like that though. But yeah, enough
Okay.
respect to all of those people who be celebrating when he comes around and so on. Enough respect to the
Yes.
Real Entertainment team. Yeah, give thanks everybody. So, Banky, until.
Yes, just want to say thanks for all those who keep supporting the show and let me know they'll be listening and appreciate the topics that we'll be speaking of and keeping it firm and concise. At the same time, and keep educating and the stuff that we keep speaking about. Many would fear to speak about it, but as the listening audience and viewers understand, we just having mature conversation, being firm about it, because some is like we are just being kind. We've been kind too much, yes. And at my age, my Earth Strong just went there. I'm 48 years old. I'm within by and future age of 48. It means I've seen a lot of stuff, seen a lot of government changes in the little time I've been here, and have enough time to analyze those who was just a regular person down the road. All of a sudden now acting stush and important because they're ministers of government and being put in a position where they are hating on people and just don't want we call it victimizing people. So you should that the evil
Right?
intention is there all the time. You see what I mean? It's very 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 a shame. And in these times, I ain't got time to butt up things from nobody. You understand? As I said to the general public, I'm putting up myself as an independent candidate in the next election, both federal and local. I'm not gonna monitor nobody, you know. What may I do? I just what I see over there in Burkina Faso. The resources belongs to us, not mine. You see the shirt we have on? Everyone inclusive, all inclusion. You need to have a government that the people have a say when it comes to decision making. They are those type of government. You understand?
Right.
Not where you think you elect these fools and then there's they do what they want. In a work, some virgin, you must always come back and the people have a say. You see what I mean? Look at the cannabis locking up people, they're still doing what they want. You can't even go into the agricultural fair to sell a few cannabis trees. They're all in the feelings, but you could go drink rum. You understand? You could do all kind of stuff. And it's okay. This is what we promote. A system that love negativity. You understand? And nothing is worse than alcohol. One of the most dangerous drugs, if you haven't done nutritional class, is the number one drug material is alcohol, you know. Short-term memory, you go home, bang off your wife, cuss off your wife, rape your children, and you wake up in the morning. Not me to do that. You know, remember a thing what you're going to do. You see? And we embrace these things. We have all these little pervertish laws where age of consent is 16. Many for them things, they're virgin. So it shows that we have a set of pervertish men setting these laws in place throughout the Caribbean. May call it for what it is, you know. Because you can't vote until you're 16. So the hell do I got me 16-year-old in a high school and you trouble them and then you breed them. And then she still and tell me if you go support a grandchild.
You mean you can't
No.
vote until 18?
18. You understand? And all these things. You can't drive till you're 18, get a license. But you can make some poor decision because some grown adult want to mess with them. It should make us in serious. You understand? So until I see real change, we got to make the change. We got to change the change. And that's what it is. Because we got to do things differently, you know. We got to have a different type of people to run our country. You need to have not a degree, common sense, and the will to do well. Because I link up with nobody who know me well in a yasan. Because I'm willing to stand alone. You understand? So we have to have real militant people to do this thing right. Because I link up with nobody who have bad intentions, you know. You understand? And we got to put real people and real people who mean well to make sure those at the bottom benefit most. You see what I mean? And people are held accountable. And that's it. It's just simplicity. Ain't not too much of easy man schism, virgin. Because the resources are there. We have too much resources. And it's time we put things in place and put small business forward. And who are coming in the country, bring your money and come because you not get nothing. And you cannot give away. And the next thing, still watching the Hamilton project there by Hamilton Mill, where the government has given that area to a non, I must call it again, indigenous person, a Caucasian, to get as a gift shop, whatever it is. Me not for that. Me not like that. That is for tourism to develop and put as a local person to manage or whatever it is. Not, I tell you, you know, when I see people come up here pick up garbage, you know, and I walk on a plane nice and put up saying about Navy's clean and the island clean, like they love the island more than I do. They have intentions. I keep saying that all the time in the virgin. Because where they come from, they not put up no saying market where they come from clean and pick up the trash on the ground. They not do it. So what do I come here do it for? Or they love the island more than me? No, you know you love the island more than me. Or you love the island more than your son? No, you have bad intention. You're sucking up to some politicians to get what you want. And that's it. And we see things what it is. So until next Tuesday, we will come back with a topic. We appreciate you guys keep giving the feedback, but we call it what it is, you know. And I know I drive up and down Hamilton and see the situation going on, you know, and I are quiet about it. You see? You are quiet about it. Those things should be under tourism, just like New River and all. These are our national estates. So how the hell you give our national estate? What kind of leaders and cabinet do these kind of things? What kind? What kind of leaders do these kind of things? Then the next phase now is to when that is done, they're going to do the whole road of Hamilton up by the mill to please these people. Major Avenue, they're not major kind of patrol. People don't live up in a you know. But to please these people now, they're going to they don't find money to do the roads. What you see, they don't find money on your son to do these roads to please, to lead them to the same mill, you know. When people drive up every day back and forth, every day, something is wrong with our people, virgin. It's either they might look like us, but the skin, they really us. You see? We say we call opera Oreo cookie. Well, we got a lot of Oreo cookie one here so too. Plenty Oreo cookie one here so. You understand? Plenty, plenty, plenty. And that's the sad thing about it. But folks, appreciate you guys tuning in. And yes, son, if anything before we go, but that's basically it. Till we come back till Tuesday. And really appreciate those who keep listening, who keep sharing the live, and encourage others to listen to the show. And we'll keep educating the listeners where agriculture is the way to go. Grow some of your food and sustainability way. We got to start to produce and export stuff and stuff like that, and start to move away from this tourism and selling real estate, because you realize is an alliance of people. Because whenever they come to real estate, you always need a liar. Always. So there's a lot of lawyers and the concubines making a lot of money and laughing after us. So you see where the interest is, real estate, not agriculture. Ira, ready to go when you're ready. Yes, son, until Ira ready.
Yeah. So I'll check him out anytime. All he do when it's time, I mean, no, I'll just probably talk to the people in the meantime.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know that the Go mobile app is something that we are pushing throughout the Caribbean. Hopeful that Synkis could lead the way and jump on board first. We are seeking to move through the Caribbean with that. The quest for with Africa and the Caribbean, we have the possibilities for air cargo service. The shipping not yet, but for sure air services is possible. So that's something that we would be looking at as well. Direct traffic and direct flights out of Africa between Ghana, Nigeria, and the Caribbean is something that is seriously possible as well. The things that we aim that we really want to do. I am hopeful that those who are at the helm take action, especially St. Kitts and Nevis for the direct flights. I am pushing for St. Kitts and Nevis to be or the base. It would depend on lead and such a but the sooner and the quicker we do this, the better it is, especially seeing that right now there is a demand for the market, but there is not the availability of such. Our means of doing that is pretty much on par and on board. So it's just to connect the dots right now, and that's where we are. So I am putting it out because I want people in the region to realize that this is much of a reality, and I'm hopeful that those leadership within the region come on board. We already have some connections with Dominique, Barbados, and I have one with connections with Antigua. We are hopeful that Grenada and St. Lucia and St. Vincent and so on could come on board, and we could really realize the actuality of the move and looking at Ghana and Nigeria and so on as possible places for vacations and visits, and vice versa. People from Ghana and coming directly, you don't have to work going 40 hours or 35 hours, stopping here and overlaying there. The possibilities of direct flight, 8 or 9 or whatever the case, direct from Africa to the Caribbean is very much possible. And so we would know to other Caribbean territories to make that reality as soon as possible. We are going to be seeking to do some pilgrimage to Ghana. Ghana is the place where it is said that many of the indigenous the African ancestors to the farm through what he said, the gate of no return, no return. There is a part into that and other special places. Yenkofe, let's go home is an organization that very well then I am an ambassador for Yenkofe. The Yenkofe to address those issues of getting it in terms of raising for the visa, for accommodations to stay, for places to eat, and places to go to visit what the parents making sure that you're safe and you're going to the right places and so on. That's what the Yenkofe deals with. And we are going to be seeking to our foot in Caribbean. I happen to be the representative or the ambassador for the Caribbean, and so eventually I'll be low touch base different people from different parts of the Caribbean, so we can strengthen the footprint in the Caribbean and raise, some of these visions. We set a lot of leaders in the Caribbean in the state to connect with Africa. Since the mindset, it's a bit late because, as Rastafari and as, Afro-conscious people, it's saying years to develop that and strengthen the relationship between the Caribbean and Africa. Now more than ever, especially with all of these tariffs, and so we're truly seeing the need for us to develop that trade. I am, really happy to hear of opportunity that is being made available via that organization in Davis with the set up that storage facility. That is for thought and foresight on the government's part. I'm just hoping that the extent of that would, lead to us being able to get machinery to develop the agro processing and the value-added side of our venture, so that we also in return exporting a lot of our value-added products, and especially improve a lot of our agro processors and create strong that we can be in our products as well. Yes, sir.
Did you ever hear anyone of the Minister of Agriculture speak and put in any money into where farmers who want to get involved in the poultry industry would have access to funding and all these things? There ain't nothing put in place.
No.
If you have to go seek your own funding and that kind of stuff, they can't even allocate piece of land to say, this is where the land them gonna be and whatever. They just keep shifting up and down the place. There is no proper planning. They can't even have not even the ministry will have the conversation at the department. They don't know to start. That is the reality. You see what I mean? Not even you can't even ask the director about the place about that project. Nobody know to start. They can't even know to start. You can't even ask the abattoir about what are you gonna say? Why nothing is like the minister been asleep and wake up one day and a dream about a plant and that's it. No plan.
But we have the expertise of a man like Kelvin Daly, who would have been involved in the poultry industry at some point. I think he had a farm down the river at some point.
Still there.
So why couldn't this is what I'm talking about. Sometimes we have to in some things we really just have to be skill sets and forget the petty parties and politics. If you have people who have the skills and you really want certain things done, reach out to the people. If you have to contract them, and I want to think that people are professional enough and should be professional enough. But then this is what sometimes baffles me when you sometimes see these
the music start
things play at the expense of our people.
We continue the conversation on the topics and next week. Yes. Go ahead.
I'll just wrap up this by saying, we see these up playing out, but as a people, we still we want to turn a blind eye to some of these things. these direct, like, political, partisan, political slantedness that actually affects the nation. And to me, until as a people we begin to look at issues that affects us versus, how it affects our party, politician that we support, we're going to continue, these kind of issues as well. So until next week, Tuesday, when we get into another topics, that's it for us here on this edition of Everything Agriculture. No respect, real entertainment, no respect, everyone, the crew. One love, see you again.